In this hypothetical scenario, say you're going to hire a prostitute. Now, obviously, you don't want to get arrested for soliciting prostitution. That would be bad, very inconvenient. So the big question becomes, how do you know whether the prostitute you're talking to is actually a prostitute or a police officer? And don't worry, I'm going to explain exactly how to figure that out. When you first find the prostitute you're interested in, whether that's on the street, in a car, or some private location, the first thing you want to do is get her alone with you, somewhere private, somewhere quiet, somewhere where you can ask a very important question, and that question is simple. You ask her to show you her breasts. Now, I know that sounds strange. I know that sounds random, but there is a very logical reason for this, and once I explain it, it's all going to make sense. If the prostitute you're talking to is actually a police officer, she will not show you her breasts. There are several reasons for this. First of all, police officers have rules, a lot of rules, some written, some unwritten, some that exist purely in the universe. And one of those rules is that they are not supposed to show private citizens their breasts while on duty. That's just not something a female police officer is going to do. It doesn't matter how convincing you are, it doesn't matter how politely you ask, it doesn't matter how confident you sound, a police officer is simply not going to do that. Now, let's say the person you're talking to is an actual prostitute. When you ask her to show you her breasts, she might be a little surprised at first. She might hesitate, she might ask why. That's normal. So when she asks why, you simply explain that you want to make sure she's not a police officer. Once you say that, everything becomes very clear. Because just like you don't want to get arrested, neither does she. She wants to do her job, make her money, and go about her day. So when she realizes that you're also trying to avoid the police, that actually makes her more comfortable. At that point, showing you her breasts becomes a way of proving that she's not law enforcement. And by doing that, she's also confirming that you're not law enforcement either. Because a male police officer would not ask for that, and a female police officer would not comply. So in that moment, both of you are silently agreeing that neither of you are the police. It's a mutual understanding. Now, in addition to that, there are other signs you can look for to tell whether someone is a police officer or not. One of the biggest giveaways is how much they focus on the money. A police officer has to make sure that a transaction actually takes place. That's very important. They need you to clearly state what you want, clearly agree to a price, and clearly confirm that you have the money. So an undercover officer will constantly bring the conversation back to the money. They'll ask if you have it, they'll ask where it is, they'll ask to see it. They'll keep bringing it up over and over again. That's because they need to establish intent. They need to make sure everything is very clear. A real prostitute, on the other hand, is not going to be nearly as aggressive about the money right away. She doesn't want to scare you off. She doesn't want to lose a customer. She's a regular human being, not someone trying to build a legal case. So she'll probably talk to you first. She might ask questions. She might joke around. She might ask what you're looking for, what kind of experience you want, things like that. The money will come up, but it won't be the only thing she talks about. Another thing to watch out for is how structured the conversation feels. Police officers tend to steer conversations in very specific directions. They'll ask questions in a certain order. They'll repeat things to get confirmation. They'll make sure you say certain words. Everything feels very intentional. A real prostitute is more relaxed. The conversation flows more naturally. There's less pressure to say specific phrases. It doesn't feel like an interview. Also, pay attention to how cautious they are. A police officer is trained to control the situation. They're alert, they're careful, they're watching everything. A real prostitute is focused on getting through the interaction quickly and safely, but not in a professional law enforcement kind of way. Now, I also want to say this. I'm not saying that anyone should go out and hire a prostitute. People are going to do what they're going to do regardless. But if you are going to do it, you should be careful and think about the situation realistically. This is someone whose job involves having sex with many different people. That's just a fact. Because of that, there is always a risk. That doesn't mean she has one. It just means the risk is higher than normal. So if you're going to make that decision, use protection. Protect yourself. Protect her. Be smart about it. At the end of the day, the goal is very simple. Stay out of trouble. Pay attention. Don't panic. And remember that confidence and common sense go a long way. Hopefully, these tips help you understand how people think in these situations. Good luck, and try not to ruin your life.